Okay, thanks for joining. As usual, we're going to spend about 15 minutes or so in discussing something about Agile. We'll have a 3 point agenda. The first one is the flashcard on continuous integration, and the second agenda item would be building empowered teams. There are different parts to it. So that by itself is going to consume most of our time, and towards the end, we'll just test our knowledge from some questions, multiple choice questions. Okay, so let's start with continuous refactoring first. Okay. By definition, let me take a pen. Okay. By definition, continuous refactoring, it is also called opportunistic refactoring. Okay, it's a very powerful practice. Okay, by definition, continuous refactoring is an agile practice to refactor code as we come across it, instead of carving separate stories or tasks just for refactoring. So, what does it mean? Okay, let's say you're working on a story, okay, some functional story that you're working on, and you have to write some new code, you have to enhance some existing code. While you're enhancing existing code, you realize that it is not designed correctly or not designed properly at the low level. Okay, maybe you need some extra classes, you may need to employ some design patterns, or you may want to improve the code quality. Okay, maybe there's a method that is 500 lines long. You may want to you may want to refactor that. Okay, so you may come across code that is just not right. Okay, or sometimes we call it code smells. uh, so you don't y- as a agile practice, you want to fix it at that time. Okay, uh, instead of looking away from it, because it may not pertain to your story directly, you may not touch that code. Okay, which is not what Agile encourages you to be to show courage and do the right thing. Okay, if you see something wrong, and if it is just refactoring, you should go ahead and refactor it. It may take some extra time, but as a team, if everyone is following such practice, over a period of time, you'll see that there'll be a gradual improvement in the health of the code. Okay, so what does refactoring include? Okay, so refactoring is a loose term sometimes you use, and it can be used as a loose term. So anything that you change in the code that does not change the functionality of the application, that is refactoring. Okay, so it can include design changes, can include code quality improvement, it can include resolution from your static code analysis. Okay, it can improve the code coverage. Okay, all these things, they fall under refactoring. Okay, design changes, as I was telling, it's possible that you may want to employ some design patterns. You may want to break out a class. You may want to, um, change some section of the program to be more object oriented. That those things, they would turn out to be design changes. Okay, keep in mind, sometimes you would do refactoring. It may have a little bit of regression scope. Okay, that you may want to test again. But if you have your unit test cases written correctly and they're automated, and they run every time you do a build, you will automatically test those design changes. Okay, but sometimes if there's a functional impact if there's a functional regression impact because of the design changes you've done, you may want to call it out explicitly. Okay, so that when you're queuing the story at the time of closure, you may want to just go over that regression impact and run some extra test cases just because you did some design changes. Okay, there's code quality improvement. So code quality could come in various different forms. Okay, so you may have code smells, different types of code smells. You may have just badly written code in general. Okay, the variable names are incorrect, or method has too many parameters. The method names are not intuitive enough. Okay, the visibility of the methods is incorrect. So there could be a whole lot of code quality improvements that can be done. Okay, then there are all these static code analysis uh, tools that are available out there: PMD, check style, JDepend, find bugs. There is a whole plethora of code analysis tools that are available to increase your code quality, and they do it on the static code. You don't really have to run any test cases to do that analysis. So what you want to do is you uh, you know uh, as a part of opportunistic refactoring practice, if you see there is some resolution or there's some violation for any of the in the reports for from the static code analysis, and it is a serious violation, you may want to fix that as well. Okay, it's a very good way of continuously improving the health of your code. And it is not just you in the team who's doing, everybody in the team, if they understand this practice, if they are able to pick up this good habit of doing opportunistic refactoring, you will see that there'll be a phenomenal improvement over a period of time in just the health and the quality of the code. Okay, most of the time when a code gets written and tested and goes out in production and you're building on top of it, you never come back to that original code to fix anything pertaining to refactoring or anything that needs correction. Okay, so what happens is over a period of time, maybe months or years, you have all this complexity that gets introduced. Or there's all this technical debt that you have built up, and you reach a point where you can no longer your whole application code becomes inextensible. Okay, so you reach a total roadblock where you cannot build anymore just because of all the spaghetti code or all the complexity that you have built in over a period of time, or the technical debt that you have built in. Okay, so this is a very it's one of those things which are very simple to understand, very simple to agree on, but it's a hard practice to follow. Okay, so that's continuous refactoring. Okay, one of the very, very strong agile practices. Okay, now let's talk about building empowered teams. So, in general, the idea of team empowerment was introduced by XP. Right? XP is extreme programming, as we all know. We've done a couple of sessions on extreme programming a few months ago. There are many things that come in building empowered teams, and I'm sure you all as managers or facilitator agile coaches, you must have uh, in your experience you must have heard about team empowerment and you have built teams yourself. Agile pays an extreme emphasis on team empowerment. Okay, and making sure that there are high performing agile teams. So I'm not going to go over everything that uh, that that falls under team empowerment or building empowered teams, just because it is just a vast subject. There have been books that have been written on this, and there are some really good books as well. If somebody wants, I can refer some of them. But I'm going to touch upon some of the very basic things that are most of the time ignored or not correctly followed. Okay, so I'm going to go over just those things, and those are the things that are extremely important from an agility point of view. Okay, so the first one is do not bottleneck decisions with single authority. Okay, especially for those of you, or people who are in the industry who have been working in traditional form of project management for too long. This is a very, very uneasy change. It means that you are giving up your authority and spreading it across the team. Okay, it can become a very uneasy change, not for just one manager, but it could be an easy change for the whole management. Okay, but the the idea is, in the long run, if you're not if you have just uh, in the long run, if you are not bottlenecking decisions to one authority, you would be able to get more things done in shorter amount of time. Okay, of course, it does not mean that they have you know anybody in the team have liberty to do just anything. Okay, what you're doing is you're not bottlenecking, you're not becoming a bottleneck for decision making. Okay, this is one of the very basic things, and in traditional form of project management, this is something that is one of the biggest hindrance and prevents agility. Okay, so you'll see I'll touch upon this point a couple of times more. The next bullet that you see here is to be able to understand that leadership and management, they are two different things. Okay, most of you understand that management has to do with processes and business as usual, uh, whereas leadership is has to do with being able to foresee problems early on and being able to bring the right people together to solve those problems. Okay, so they are both needed. You need management to be able to build empower teams, and you also need leadership. Okay, just having management skills are not enough when we are talking about building agile teams. So we need both of them. And in agility, there's more and more emphasis that is paid on leadership. Okay, so you as traditionally managers, you want to transform yourself from managers into facilitators or leaders. Okay, and the which requires changes in style, which requires changes in practices, changes in habit, requires empowering team members. The next important thing is you want your team to be very highly productive. Okay, and that can only come if your teams are self-organizing. Okay, so those of you um, who remember the 12 principles of Agile Manifesto, one of the things that it says that highly productive teams are self-organized. Okay, and it is not easy to achieve. I mean, it requires a lot of discipline. Okay, so you as facilitators, as leaders, you want you want to inculcate that habit of letting your team self-organize. Okay, it will require a lot of facilitation. It will require a lot of coaching. Okay, which is why your role is so important in any kind of project execution. Okay, so you want your teams to be self-organized. Only then they will become highly productive. Okay, it is not a one-man show. It is not as if that you have a great manager and it is they are going to tap into the the most productive part of their team members. Okay, it requires a lot of It requires a lot of leadership and facilitation to motivate your team members, help them become self organized. So once they become self organized, then they will become highly productive. And it's one of those things which is, which is easier said than done. Okay, in order for your team to become self-organized, they have to be bought in to the idea of agility. They have to be bought into the idea that they have ability to take decisions, the right decisions at the right time. They don't have to wait for approvals. They have to they should do the right thing at the right time. Okay, and that can come with a lot of discipline, a lot of facilitation, a lot of coaching. Another important thing is removing blame. This is something that is very prevalent in uh, in corporate industry, in projects, um, and software development is no exception. So it can come in different forms, but I think the essence of the whole idea is that um, if the team members, they are afraid of making decisions, being intuitive, or you know having an open creative mind, if they are afraid, then they will not be able to show their true potential. As a facilitator, as an agile coach, you have to understand that there will be mistakes that will be made. Okay, as humans we all make mistakes, and it's it's not it's by blaming somebody for an incident is not going to help anyone. It does not going to help that person who's being blamed. Uh, of course, goes without saying, and also it's not going to help the team. Okay, because they would fear, taking decisions even more. Also, I'll say the same thing. Also, it does not mean that everybody in the team um, has liberty to do anything that they want. We are talking about, within boundaries. Okay, we have this assumes that you have a motivated team, you have the right, people who are very passionate about what they are working on. They want to see good results. They are people who gets thing done. They are somebody who have a vested interest in the success of the team. Okay, and I'm not talking about the agile coach, I'm talking about every single team member. Once you have reached that point, it is important that, blaming somebody is not going to help anyone. It's not going to help the person who's getting blamed. It's not going to help the team. It's not going to help you as a leader, because you're not. You have to be able to understand, in what circumstances things happen. Okay, and if you want to be seen as a leader, as somebody who can be followed by example, somebody who can be trusted. So removing blame is, again, something that is very easily said than done, but it's something that is very, very prevalent in many teams. I do a lot of agile transformation for organization, and I have seen this as one of the very, very big problems when we are building teams. And last point, but certainly not the least, is set rules to become free and not get constrained by them. Okay, so there are always rules. Okay, there are always ground rules. There are certain things that one has to be disciplined about, and these rules are not created to they're not created for an authority to show, to exercise their muscle. Okay, these rules are not created to introduce red tape or to control. Okay, these rules are created to make the team more efficient. Okay, to make the best use of everyone's time. A very good example is that if you are holding stand up meetings and the whole team and you as an agile coach set this rule that the stand up meeting, the daily stand up meeting, is not going to go beyond 15 minutes. Okay. Everybody suddenly has uh, saved a lot of time to do their own work. Okay. You may decide to have a breakout session after the stand up, but it, as a team, you set this rule, you decide that you'll finish within 15 minutes, and everybody's on board with that. You'll suddenly realize that your team has become more efficient. Okay, so it's not a rule that you're putting in there just because you're an agile coach or a manager and you have the ultimate authority to control people. It's not like that. You are setting this rule as, you know democratically, and everybody in the team is on page with this. Also, there's some of the other rules is, there are many examples I have, but I just want to make sure, I'm able to convey my message very clearly. Another good rule is when you are having a meeting, the person who has the most knowledge about that issue, about the problem, is the one who speaks the most. Okay. um, it doesn't have to be the person who's the best communicator in the group, or somebody who speaks with extreme confidence, or somebody who is a manager. Okay, so this is another rule that I have followed for years together, and it has worked wonders for me. Okay, so it is not a matter of controlling, it is not a matter of trying to trying to show who's the authority. These are things that you can set up as rules, which are going to benefit the whole team and make them more efficient. Okay, and it can all come from empowerment. All these points that you see here, they are a part of team empowerment. Okay, I see that I have a couple of questions here. It's about bottlenecking decisions. um, Yeah, so I think the question is, as a manager or an agile coach, what is your role? So I think it's a very, very big question. So it goes back to the responsibilities. I think if you decide to become an agile coach, okay, first of all, you understand all the four, the four agile values, okay, very clearly. What do we value? Okay, what is going to bring agility? So you have to understand all those values. Wherever your team is digressing from those values, you have to bring them back. And then there are 12 principles that we have seen from Agile Manifesto as well. Okay, so you have to have a very clear understanding on all 12 principles. Okay, these four values and 12 principles, they are the core of your whole Agile philosophy. Okay, so as an Agile coach, you have to understand these. It's very, it's normal that the team members, they will be new to agile, or they do not know about these values and principles, or they do not know how to follow them properly. Okay, so it'll be your responsibility to make sure that you see that these principles are being adhered to. These four values is what are you know they are being followed at the very core. And also, with your leadership skills, you need to make sure that your team has is you yourself, you're able to foresee problems, from your experience and your knowledge. You're able to foresee problems, okay, and bring the right people together. Okay, there's a question about daily stand-up being 15 minutes. So I do believe it's going into a different territory. But yes, a standard rule, 15 minutes to 20 minutes daily stand-up, depending on your size of the team, is something that's what you need. There's a separate session that I took just on daily stand-up as a flashcard. Has a lot of information. It's on YouTube. You can subscribe to that, to my channel. There's a lot of good information in there, not just daily stand up, but also other ceremonies, or time box meetings like retrospective or sprint reviews. So you can find some good information in there. Okay, so we are still talking about how to build empowered teams. Okay, and one of the very key concept in there, besides leadership and management, is your ability to coach and mentor. Okay, coaching and mentor is slightly different than leadership and management. We've seen how management and leadership, they're different. Coaching and mentoring is being able to train people, or being able to uh, make your team members understand how a particular practice or a particular way of solving problem would be more efficient. Okay, and it's not something that can be developed overnight. It comes with experience, it comes with knowledge, of course, and also one has to be open to be a leader and see themselves as a coach. Okay, so all of you who are here in this webinar, I trust that every one of you has that passion already. Okay, to be a leader, to be a coach. So what are some of the qualities? Again, this is a very big, broad subject. We're not going to go too deep into it, but things that pertain to agility. Very important. The first one, be, you have to lead by example. Okay? If you're expecting everybody to come to daily stand up on time, you have to be the first person in there. Okay, that is leading by example. Okay? If you're expecting your team to do the planning right, you have to be the first person to make the team come together, okay, to facilitate planning exercise. Okay, make sure that you talk to the product owner so that you have all the information that is needed for the planning. Okay, it's very important to demonstrate and lead by example. Okay, and it's something that I have seen missing in a lot of organizations. They want to, I mean, they have great managers. Okay, they have great people who have immense experience in that functional domain or technical domain, but they have great knowledge about processes, but they're not good mentors, they're not good coaches. Okay, and that can become a huge problem in your path to agility. Okay, another another tip for coaching and mentoring is promote self responsibility. This also goes back to that point of empowerment. um, you want to identify, you you want your team members to have a sense of responsibility and also accountability. Okay, the moment you start empowering people, you start giving some kind of power. It's not they have to understand it's not coming for free. Okay, it is being given to them with the trust that they would be accountable for whatever that they're doing in that area. They have to be responsible in they have to use that empowerment responsibly. Okay, so self responsibility is something that is very important, and it requires a very high level of trust between you as agile coach, as a mentor, and the member who you are trusting with. Encourage groupthink mentality. Okay, this is also uh, something that we touched upon when we talked about collaborating on leadership. So it has been proven time and again, it is a fact that two minds solving the problem is better than one mind solving the problem. Okay, can have the most intelligent mind in the world. Okay, but as a team, when we are talking about when there's a group think, when there's a group thinking tank, you will always come out with a better solution. Okay, it's not something that is easily attained, but as a leader, as a coach, when you're solving problem, you want to trust with a group of people instead of you want to encourage people to have different point of views. You want to bring those people together who can um, who can ask tough questions, who can think out of the box, who understand, who have a deep knowledge of the subject. So you will not find all these qualifications in one person. Okay, it will always be a group of people that you'll have to bring together. Okay, the next one is clarify your expectation and verify understanding. Okay, this is again, the first part is somewhat easy. Clarify expectation. Let's say you have you're giving responsibility to one of your members. What is your expectation? That is, you know, a lot of times I've seen just even that missing. Okay, you give a certain responsibility, and you don't set a very clear expectation. So first step is set a very clear expectation, and the second step, which is also which is missed most of the time, verify understanding. Has the person really understood that expectation clearly? Okay, so both these steps are important. First step first, clarify the expectation. It has to be crystal clear what the expectation is. And the second thing is that is it crystal clear to the other person? Have you understood? Have they agreed to that clarity, to that expectation? Next point is foster improvement. Okay, as a mentor, you wanna uh, you it will give you immense pride if you see that your pupils or your members, they're improving. Okay, gradually you'll see that improvement over a period of time. Okay, you want to foster those improvements. Okay, that is something that you may want to reward them, you may want to congratulate them, recognize them. You really want them to actually see that they have improved indeed. Okay, from all the coaching and mentoring that they have been receiving. Okay, it becomes a huge motivation factor for them. Okay, the final point here about on coaching and mentoring is a coach or a mentor does not have to be an expert in everything. A lot of times I have seen facilitators and coaches being so hard on themselves. Okay, they lose confidence if they don't know something with extreme clarity or with extreme knowledge themselves. You do not have to know everything. You do not have to be an expert in everything. Okay, you have to have these skills, okay, which are listed here. If you have these skills, you would still be a confident coach. Okay, and of course it does not mean that you should not strive to be an expert in something. Okay, there's always that passion that is needed. Okay, but you do not have to be an expert in everything. It is also not practical to expect that one person would be an expert in everything. Okay. Um, One last subject on building empower teams. This is brainstorming. Okay, I know all of you must have done this brainstorming in so many times in your experience, and which is why I'm not going to go too deep into it. But there are certain rules, brainstorming rules, and I myself, a few years ago, when I was reading this book on building empower teams, I came across brainstorming chapter, and I realized that there were a couple of rules that I myself wasn't aware, even after doing these years of brainstorming with my team and otherwise. So I just thought, it'll be good if we can just, go through these 5 rules. And those of you who are taking certification, that ACP certification, or plan to do that, you must know these 5 rules. You get 2 questions just on these rules. Okay, and they're very simple. Okay, so rule number 1 is postpone and withhold your judgment of ideas. Okay, so if you are conducting a brainstorming session, you're facilitating one, you don't want to evaluate the ideas at this time. Okay, postpone and withhold your judgment of ideas. Okay, very simple. Okay, rule number 2 is encourage wild and exaggerated ideas. Okay, this is something that I did not know until I read that book. It's easy to come out with simple ideas, but some wild and exaggerated ideas is something that sets the wheels in motion. So always encourage wild and exaggerated ideas. Rule number 3 is quantity counts at this stage, not quality. Okay, somewhat linked with rule number 1. Okay, what you're doing is you want to make sure that you have uh, you, you have captured everything. Okay, all the ideas that are out there. You're not worried about what is the quality of that idea at this time. You want to write down everything. Rule number 4 is another one of the rules that I did not know until I read the book. Okay, build on the ideas put forth by others. Okay, there's a huge benefit that you get. Okay, so if I am facilitating a brainstorming session, somebody tells me an idea, what I do is I try to build a level above on that. Okay, there are 2 big advantages that you get out of this. The first advantage is that you are paraphrasing. Okay, so somebody gave an idea, you're by the very fact that you're trying to build on top of it, you will have to paraphrase. So you'll have to convey, you have to rephrase the same idea in your own words, which gives a very good understanding of that idea. Okay, and the second advantage is that you are encouraging that person who came out with that idea. They feel valued. They feel that their idea is being correctly is taken in the right stride. Okay, so something that was some that I learned from the book. Rule number 5: every person and every idea has equal worth at this time. Okay, just because somebody is a technical writer and you're having a deep technical discussion, their idea and they're also a part of the brainstorming session, their idea is not less than anybody else's idea. All right, so every person, they may be directly attached with the project, with the problem, or not. uh, they may have come from different skill sets. Their idea has equal worth. Okay, so that's about brainstorming. So all these things, whatever that you're learning, this is a part of building empower teams, building high efficiency, highly productive agile teams. All right, so I'll just touch upon a very quick thing on communication management. This is, you may have seen this slide. It's one of my favorites. Uh, Very simple, but conveys a lot of information. You can see on the x-axis, there's a richness of communication channel, and on the y-axis, you have the effectiveness. So you know you can tell. this side, face to face and whiteboard discussion is extremely rich form of communication, which ergo is the most effective form. Okay, so you can see, for modeling options, face to face and whiteboard is the best. If you do not have that luxury of co-located members who are doing modeling discussion, you still want to have a face-to-face discussion or a video conversation, there needs to be some kind of interactive rich communication that needs to happen. Okay, and you can see the least rich form for modeling option is the email conversation. Okay, I know most of you would be knowing all this already. It's just, sometimes when your communication is so vital to a success, to success of a project, that the choice of tool that you would use for doing some kind of communication can be very, very critical. Okay, and sometimes you cannot overlook that, no matter how small the issue may be, okay, or how small the subject may be. Using the right tool for communication can be very, very critical. All right, so just want to share some stats. There was a survey done with the stakeholders on how they felt about the choice of communication strategy, and there were a couple of interesting things that I noticed. I thought I'll share. So these are all the communication strategy: face to face, whiteboard, and detailed documentation, etc. Okay, so all these are communication strategies within the team. You can see, face to face communication scored very high, 4.25. Face to face whiteboard did not score very high, 4.24. It does not mean that it is not the best option. Face to face whiteboard is still the best option. It's just that within the team there is a resistance of using that. It could be for various reasons. Okay, so you as a facilitator, you always want to, in case you have your team is co-located, you would always want to encourage a whiteboard discussion. Okay, and they also did a comparison of how within the team and with the stakeholders. See, online chat, it worked very well for within the team, but with the stakeholders outside of the team, it did not do very well. Okay. Also, detailed documentation, it scored a negative within the team. Okay, and not so great in with the stakeholders either. But it's something that was interesting. Which I kind of documented in red here. Okay, does not mean that online chat is a bad thing. It's something that is respected within the team, not so much from outside. Okay, any questions before we look at some of the sample questions of my own to test our knowledge? Okay, great. I know it's a lot of theory, but it's something that is very, very vital. Right? Building a right team, right agile team, is of utmost important. All right, why don't you go ahead, read the question, and send me the answer. You can use the questions box or the chat box. Okay, the answers are coming in. Okay, getting a very mixed answer between B and C? The correct answer is C. Which of the following is not a characteristic of an agile project manager? Managing daily tasks. Okay, you don't want to be managing daily tasks. You don't want micromanagement. Okay, assuming different leadership styles for different stage of team formation. Yes. Okay, there are different stages of team formation. Those of you who have taken PMP, you know that there are 5 stages. So, and everything else you can tell, allow teams to self manage and adapt their process empirically. Very good. Facilitate collaboration and remove impediments. Yes, those are part of your roles as an agile coach. Managing daily tasks of team members is not. Okay, next question. Okay, so I got a mixed response for this one too, but most of you got it right. The correct answer is C. Okay, this goes back to the communication modes or communication strategy, how to choose the right communication tool for a particular discussion. Okay, so emailing is not the right thing to do. It requires there's a technical complexity, it requires low level design. It's a bad idea to try to do that over the email. Okay, play planning poker is an estimation technique, may be useful, uh, but it's not something that involves a lot of whiteboarding or chatting. Okay, wait for the team to realize the importance of this and let them take action is incorrect, because they may not realize the importance soon enough, which is why you are there as a leader. You want to understand that this could be critical to the adoption of the sprint and sprint planning. So you want to start facilitating a joint application design, or it's called JAD. Okay, which is very very common for to understand the design at a high level and at a low level. Okay, last question. Okay, I think I was on mute. The correct answer is D. The first three, A, B, and C, are three of the four agile values on agilemanifesto.org. Okay, the following a fixed plan without distraction is not an agile value. Okay, so if you go to agilemanifesto.org, you'll see those four agile values and 12 principles. If you haven't done that, you must do that. Okay, so this brings us towards the end of today's webinar. Also, we'll be taking a break now. Okay, so there are total of 16 or 17 episodes on my YouTube channel now. Okay, which is the collection of everything that we have studied in past so many months. And there's a wealth of knowledge, even even outside of the episodes that we've had here. There are quite a few videos and elaboration illustrations on agile practices, so you may find it useful. So you can just search for Anurag Saxena on YouTube, and you'll find my channel there. We will be, I'm not sure how long of a break we'll be taking. I'm guessing about the whole of month of May and maybe a whole of June. So we may resume having these free webinars again starting July. Okay, I'm preparing content for that. There are a couple of other books that I've read, and I want to there are certain areas that we have not really touched upon in depth, and I've received a lot of requests to touch upon them. So I'm going to be preparing for that. That's going to take some time. Meanwhile, I'll continue doing the SEP training for 21 PDUs that I do every month. One of the weekends every month. The next one is on 10th and 11th May. The charge is $299. You can go to certschool.com, agile classes, and search for webinar. You should be able to navigate very easily. Okay, so if you're interested in taking PMI's agile certification, it's something that is not extremely difficult and can be taken. You can prepare yourself in a month's time, month and a half, and put it on your resume. It's a great addition. So feel free to reach out to me using any of these channels: LinkedIn, Twitter, Gmail, and I'll be able to help you answer any of the questions. Some of you are asking about the course ID required for claiming today's PDU. You may want to write an email to Aditya, okay, who's the CEO of CertSchool. You get one PDU for every free webinar that you attend here. Okay, so you can contact him, and I'm not sure what is the process of granting that PDU, but he'll be able to help you out. If you're not able to find that, feel free to email me. Okay, you have my Gmail address, Anurag Saxena, one word. Anurag.Saxena. I should correct this. There's a correction needed. I don't know what happened to the dot. So anurag.saxena@gmail.com. Okay, thank you guys. Hopefully I'll see you all very soon, in about 8 weeks or so. You should see the invite go out for the webinar to all of you. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.